I am pleased to be here with Hamish Neill from Flightcell. It's going to be one of those days, and I've got 3 hours of this. Hamish, there's so much competition within the communications market. I was telling one of your competitors a little while ago that ultimately what it comes down to is you would think that getting the airplane from place to place was enough, but no, when you're in the airplane, you got to know what's happening at destination. You got to keep up with the office. The airplane has to communicate. There's just so many different ways now where we've got to stay connected, got to communicate, and just stay alive and in business. So tell me what Flightcell is and what it's doing today to help in that regard.
Okay, so our product is, as you've kind of mentioned some of the elements, which is we're very much a satellite, but also cellular data, voice and tracking system. So we're an all-in-one system, and this is the box here that we're talking about. And so we're providing all of that communication, very much the human interface side of things. So it's very much talking, as well as providing information about what's happening on the aircraft and getting information off the aircraft if it's important. I guess the differentiator between us and I guess you could call them competitors, and I'll say why I say I guess because we also work with a lot of our competitors. The differentiator is very much in the size of the equipment, the fact that it's built to a military specification, so we're quite big in the military market, and as well it's very, very easy to install because it's a single box solution. So that kind of gives you a bit of a snapshot of what the product's all about.
How did you arrive at this market? Everybody has their background story, why they decided that there was a need, why they thought they were qualified to fill it, and what's the process been like? Well,
we're a company where we've been integrating cellular communications onto aircraft for 18 years now. So we started off with a portable device called Flightcell Pro, and we sold this into the US military in quite significant numbers. And it wasn't actually for cellular that they purchased it, it was to integrate Iridium satellite phones onto the aircraft. But cell phones were also part of the market because the founder of the company was using it himself as a helicopter pilot so that he could basically run two jobs at once. And this was an ideal solution for him. He could take phone calls whilst he was flying the plane. And we moved on from there when a significant opportunity arose within the US military again, and they wanted our portable device to be integrated into an installed unit on the panel. So we invented, I guess, our panel-mounted version of exactly the same thing. They then started cherry-picking us a little bit in terms of, well, we need this also for tracking, we'd like to get information off the aircraft.
Boy, because our customers are annoying when they keep asking for more and more and more.
Exactly. And we finally said, okay, enough. We didn't quite say that, but you know, enough is enough. Now, get on with it, let's get going. And they never bought from us because their program changed, as happens with a lot of these things. But at the same time, another customer with a significant fleet of tankers came and bought 50 units of us, and we were away. So that was back in 2004, and we have been integrating satellite and more lately cellular into aircraft ever since through an installed device such as this.
Outstanding. Talk to me a little bit about some of your quote-unquote average customers. Who are they? How do they utilize it? And more important, how are they growing with Flightcell?
Okay, so we provide, I guess, what some equipment can achieve in corporate jets, but we're very much the smaller, slightly lower level. So anywhere from light jet through to turboprop fixed wing, and particularly helicopters is where our market niche is. And we very much focus on I guess, government utilities, and we talk about the likes of law enforcement, search and rescue, air medical, the fire service, those sorts of aircraft where they have connected equipment and they would like to get information off the aircraft, also a very big part of our business. Anything with a helicopter, obviously, there's a big advantage here because of the weight of the unit, but also the convenience of having a display it's intuitive, so it's like a telephone in terms of how to use it, but it's menu driven as well, so there are a number of utilities inside the box that allow you to access more and more as we go on. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about how this product's been built, and I don't know if you can see this, but if we look into the box, you'll see that it is it's modular. Now, a modular system means that we can evolve the product. We've future-proofed it to a certain extent because we've got a card-based system. This means that this box can contain a satellite phone, a cell phone, or 2 satellite phones, or 2 cell phones, or any number of different cards based upon the utility that's required by the customer. And that could include extra sensor inputs, that can include different types of connectivity like ARINC 429. Those sorts of things are all enabled within this product to give it versatility. In the end, it means we've got probably 40 plus different configurations of this product as a result. So we can therefore tailor it to the needs of those quite specific industries and markets. So those markets are growing, and our penetration into those markets is growing as they see the benefits of a product such as this.
Well, one of the other nice things about modularity is it certainly makes diagnostics, replacement, repair a whole lot easier, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that is another good thing about repair is that if, and we on the odd occasion do need to repair the product, and that may be due to sometimes a faceplate, or we do have software issues, whatever, you can flip it out, the 4 Zeus screws, and send it off. There's nothing in the avionics bay, it's all in the control head.
Now, you're working with a number of different technologies. I see obviously Iridium being part of this. Iridium is in the process of making some really big upgrades over the coming years, as long as they can still get Elon to launch on time and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
What will the Iridium upgrades do to your capabilities?
Well, I guess firstly we'll talk about their latest upgrade that's actually occurred, which is that they've launched a system called Iridium Push-to-Talk. And we were the first off the block because of this ability, and I talked about it before, we're a software-driven and modular product. We've been able to incorporate Iridium Push-to-Talk into this module as well. So it means you can broadcast one-to-many, and that isn't just aircraft to aircraft, it's aircraft to base station and aircraft to a 9575 phone. So you now have ground crew, you have possibly troops or search and rescue staff, and the airborne assets all being able to communicate with each other. Now that technology that they've developed is going to flow through to Iridium Next, and Iridium Next in itself will provide us access to a greater data speed than we're currently getting now. So if you look at Iridium's current capability, 2.4 kilobits per second. Very narrow band data flow rate. Now when Iridium come out with their what's called the SFX, then we'll have access to up to 88 megabytes per second, 88 kilobytes per second, which is quite significant. It allows quite a good ability to send a lot of this onboard data that we're talking about connecting with these markets at a greater rate and more information with that. The question we have is, what is that modem going to look like? Is it something that's going to go inside the box or outside the box? The great news for us is it doesn't really matter because we can integrate external modems as well as internal modems. So we're in a very good position to take advantage of anything if it is deemed necessary by our customers. We're always going to ask them first.
Outstanding. Do you have any interesting user stories to relate? Who out there utilizing your product has inspired you, or for that matter, given you a reason to start innovating once again?
Well, I'd have to say that all of our developments are based on users and customer needs. So I'll give you an example. We have customers in Europe at the moment who are wanting to run off a different frequency of cellular network that is not available on the 4G card, the 4G LTE card that we have at the moment. So given that, we can actually innovate as required, and we will be developing this particular technology for that particular customer group. And we get a lot of those requests all the time. We've had fire customers who want to know, for example, where do we drop the fire bucket, where do we pick up the water, how much retardant did we add, a whole pile of different pieces of information that they'd like to get off the aircraft. Now we have been able to do that by the creation of applications, software applications that are then able to be used on off the aircraft. So I wouldn't say there's one specific case rather than specific markets that have come to us, and we've heard repeated requests of what we'd like to be able to do with the equipment, and we've developed applications for it. On the other side, we have a lot of business-to-business applications as well, because we have a conduit here, or a pipe, to get information off the aircraft onto the ground. And on the 4G and LTE network, with a lot of these customer groups that I mentioned before, they are generally in range of 4G and LTE.
Okay.
And so they now have an internet connection via an Ethernet cable, so they can connect their equipment and get their information off the aircraft. So we're forming a lot of partnerships with a lot of companies so that they can fulfill that requirement without having to develop it themselves.
What's the future for this technology in light of everything else that's going on right now?
I think where we see the future going is where the future is. It depends on the satellite networks, it depends on what's happening on the ground. But what we are saying with this product is that with a modular capability such as this, is that we're going to be able to adapt very rapidly and meet a lot of those changes. So we just have to keep abreast of what's going on, and when we see the changes taking place, we can respond. At the same time, I think we are creating change as well.
Okay.
And a good example of that is, I talked about the cellular modem that's in here at the moment. Well, you've got this opportunity with tracking. You see, this is a tracking product, and we send our tracking data to multiple tracking service providers. We're unlocked, and that's unusual in this industry. It's like when you go to I guess an Apple store and you buy an iPhone, it's unlocked. But if you go and buy the same phone from a phone company, it's locked. Right, well, you're buying this as an unlocked device, and you can go to any satellite service provider, Iridium satellite service provider, and any cellular service provider, so it's providing that they've got 4G and LTE,
Right.
and you can put the SIM cards in and you're away. In addition to that, you've also got the mapping service provider, and we have 11 different mapping service provider partners, and that's growing, so that the information
That
that's
provides
sent
an
from this,
awful lot of backup for you and a lot of
It does.
security, doesn't it?
and it also for the customer.
Very smart.
And great for the customer, because now they can say, well, actually, we have just bought a whole pile of aircraft, and they're being followed on this map. We would like to integrate our DZM system with that map. We can do that now. Now, the key thing is that we've developed, along with this, a thing called IP tracking. So what that means is that off the cell modem, we are sending positions over direct IP. So it's like it's an internet connection. We're just streaming pieces of data down the pipe, and it's going to any of those service providers, provided they are able to unbundle that. This has brought the price of satellite tracking when they're in 4G range right down. So now we're saving money for the customer, which is great.
Okay, well, I'm a mid-level turboprop operator. I've been ignoring communications, but I know I've been ignoring it for way too long. How do I get the information I need? If I'm coming to you, what's the advice that you give me in how to sum up the needs that I have, plan for an install, and get everything running to a point where I now have the versatility I need when I'm traveling?
So I think first of all we need to talk. Because what we will generally do is provide or ask for a list of your specific needs. And at the same time, we like to understand the particular industry that you're in, because of our experience of the different industries and who we've dealt with in the past. If you're air medical, for example, and you're on a fixed wing, we would say, well, you need this control head and you need the DZM, but you're probably likely to need a remote head as well on the back.
Okay.
Because that's going to provide your crew with access to dialing, making calls, all those sorts of things that a crew would need to do if the status of the patient changes. But if you're more of a passenger situation, then you might want a remote handset in the back, so you can do a privacy phone call off a handset out of the back. You might want 2 Iridium transceivers. You might not want cellular on a fixed wing. Cellular and fixed wing is going to be less useful if it's flying at high altitudes over great distances than the helicopter market, who are based in the cities and those sorts of things. So really it is a conversation with us, all with our agents and distributors. So in North America it's Dallas Avionics, for example. Then you would talk to them and they would walk you through a similar process. So it's a conversation to make sure that we're meeting your needs up front. But the other thing is that if you want to start low and slow, you can start with just straight Iridium and then think to yourself, well, okay, maybe cellular would have been a better example, or maybe I needed night vision to a higher level than we've got here, which we can supply as well. But all of those things are retrofittable. So you haven't made any mistakes by buying a specific unit. We can change the configuration of the product based on future needs.
Outstanding. Alrighty, sir. For those out there that are interested in your product, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, we have our website, www.flightcell.com, and all of our contact details are in there, or you can talk to our North American distributors, Dallas Avionics.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 60th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from New Orleans, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
FreeFlight Systems is expanding its business into the Part 25 aviation industry through new avionics shop dealers, manufacturer partnerships, and STC programs. With a focus on the next-gen airspace and remote-mounted sensor systems, FreeFlight Systems will continue to be a leader in the next-gen airspace. Visit freeflightsystems.com for details.
The 2-inch MD93 digital clock and USB charger features intuitive operation with 4 modes: local time, universal time, flight timer, and stopwatch. The dual USB charging port supplies 2.1 amps of power per port to personal electronic devices with a USB interface. Learn more at mcico.com.